Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome back to the 1992 Stratos 201 Pro Rehab Project Part 6-ish, where we're going to be dealing with some gap issues since we're going from carpet to C-deck. Got a couple places we got to fix. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. And we're going to talk about a trailer and maybe even get some primer in these compartments. So stick around. So here's the problem. In a normal bass boat, you have carpet. And you have carpet on the inside of these tracks, I guess. And this is the rear seat pedestal. So you would have carpet on the inside of this, and you would have carpet on the outside of the lid as it wraps in. Now this lid is where it's supposed to be because there's a groove worn in the original gel coat. I haven't patched that piece yet to where it closed. Now the problem is, if I slide it back here to close the gap, then I have a gap into the compartment here. These lips aren't very big, so it's got to fit exactly. Now I didn't have that problem on the Triton over there, but this is going to be an issue. So here's my solution. I've got the same problem that I have here at the rear of the front fiberglass part of the casting deck where it meets the three lids. We're going to fix them using the same method. Now, here's the hinges. Now, we'll probably wind up putting new hinges, but they're going to be the same style hinges and the same thickness. I put a hinge in here, and I still have a huge gap. Basically, this is a 5/16 gap. So what I've done is I broke out some 1/2-inch plywood and my track saw and my router, and I have manufactured two pieces to fill this gap. So what I had to do is I had to put a bottom round over so that up against the existing, there is a round over here, so I had to match that. And then I needed a round over on top. So this is going to fit square. That's perfect. A little high on that spot. So I'll sand that back down, but I needed a bit of a round over there and a big round over on the inside. That we're going to install in a little bit once I glove up and get started with epoxy. The other thing I want to talk about before we get it sticky is let's go look at the trailer that's getting ready to start the rehab on that. Okay, welcome to the other side of the garage. This is what's left of the original trailer. We've cut the bunks off. We need new bunk hardware. The fenders, as you can see, were shot. Nothing left to them. Finding the exact replacement fender was not a possibility. So what I finally found something very close with the teardrop. It's I got it at Dexter. I found them at Dexter. What used to be Redneck Trailer is now Dexter. So what we're going to wind up doing is cut these fenders on the ends to get them to the right height, weld them in, and then putting a backing here to keep the tires from kicking up crap on the bottom of the boat. This trailer Tuesday is going to the tree. I'm going to do my sandblasting and welding and then painting. And then up front, this old brake actuator was so badly rusted that we could not drive the pins out. We wound up having to cut them just to get it out. I did find the exact replacement from Dexter. Pull these pins, slides right in, but I'm gonna slide it in to tow it, and I'm gonna pull it off and let them finish the sandblasting and painting, and then we'll put it in. It'll be nice and bright and shiny. The other thing we're gonna do, there'll be a new trailer jack, winch, running board, or bunks carpeted. And then on the inside of the tires, like I said, we'll put some probably 1/2-inch plywood epoxy coated with some carpet on it that matches the little bit of carpet that we are using in the boat. But I wanted you guys to see this before we started on it, just to see what you can do. This is in pretty bad shape. But structurally it's fine. It's got a lot of surface rust. All of the pieces have rusted off, but I think with some sandblasting and some painting, she's gonna look brand new. Anyway, that's the trailer as we started with, and we're getting ready to start rehabbing it next week while we're doing the boat. So let's go back over and start fixing the gapping issue on the lids. Okay, well, I think we're finally ready to install this. I got it marked which side is in. I've drilled some holes that I'm going to use these number 6 1-inch coarse drywall screws, which are great clamps. I'm going to epoxy the inside, which I marked in. I'll epoxy it in here. I'll take the screws, drive them through here, and then, you know, in a few hours I'll be able to pull them out and I'll fill that with epoxy and then do the fairing. But I just mixed up this Total Boat 5-to-1 epoxy. I added 2 scoops of the microspheres to it, which makes it gives it more volume, makes it thicker. It's easy to shape, it's easy to sand, and you don't lose any of your structural integrity by doing that. So it's time to smear it on there. So cheap chip brush, a couple rags, still got my stir stick. Now if you leave it in a pot like this, and by the way, these are disposable. I buy them about a 50 pack now. I used to try to save them and reuse them, but it's just going to irritate you if you try to do that. Go ahead and buy a pack of them if you're going to do this kind of work. It's so much nicer. So what I'll do now is I'm going to coat the inside of this plywood. It's going to be out of sight when I put this on. I'll do the outside after it's set up and I was able to get the screws out. Because I don't want to leave the screws in, even though these screws would be fine, probably, left in. It's absolutely guaranteed that they're going to wind up in a spot where I need to put a hinge screw. So I'm definitely going to have to pull them. And I've got the other piece cut for the front. And it's ready to go. So hopefully I can get both of these done with this one batch of epoxy. We'll see how that goes. That's done. Clean up some of the excess here just to make it easier next time. Alright, that is gap number 1. Well, that was fun. Okay, so I got my spacers in for the lid gaps. I'm I don't know if I was shooting high speed or regular speed, but I'll just tell you what I did. And you can watch it high speed as I cut my pieces of 1/2 inch birch plywood. I mixed up some thickened epoxy. I pre-drilled holes in the plywood. I used some number 6 by 1 inch drywall screws. Now, the coarse thread, these are phosphate coated. You could leave them in. I'm not going to, because they'll be right in the way of the screw holes for the actual hinges. I'm sure there's no way I could miss them all. But anyway, I screwed it in tight. The epoxy was squeezing out the edges and out the holes that I kept skipping holes so it could squeeze all the air out, get a good solid epoxy bond between the plywood and the existing fiberglass. I got that done. Then I took acetone, and I had bought a bunch of these little condiment squeeze bottles off of Amazon. I don't know, they're about $1.50 a piece, but mark them with what's in them. And it's just handier than using the acetone cans or any of the thinner cans. I'm going to have to use some thinner here in a little bit. But that's usually for mixing. I don't use it for cleanup, although I will clean up me with it. The roller covers I'll throw away. So when I bought the Total Protect and Barrier, it comes in a kit, and the kit came with the roller pan, the roller brush. This is 3/16 solvent safe. 3/16 in the English side. Enamel and urethanes, applying semi-gloss, great for marine coating, fiberglass, epoxy applications. Anyway, this is what Total Boat recommends. They sent it in the kit with the 1 gallon of the primer. And they sent a cheap chip brush, which is great because I'm going to have to use this to get in the corners. Although I will probably go get one of my smaller ones. I also bought from them, but I buy them by the box of 12 because you use them all the time. Don't worry about cleaning them, pitch them, you're done. It costs about $1 a piece. If you're trying to do this on the cheap, you might as well not even start. I've learned that the hard way. So I got 15 minutes of induction time. I just finished mixing. So we got about another 10 minutes. And then I'm going to apply the thinner. Now, the one thing that they did tell me, because I've talked to customer support 3 or 4 times, and all 3 of the people that I talked to is Mark and Brian and Charlotte. They're really knowledgeable. You're not calling, some 1-800 offshore help desk. You're calling people in the U.S. At Jamestown Distributors, and these people know what they're doing, and they build boats. So every time I've talked to them, I've learned something. They walked me through a procedure. Taught me how to buy something I didn't need, and found me a cheaper way to do it. Basically, the biggest savings in one item so far was I talked to Charlotte because I was going to roll and tip the gel coat and use a badger hair brush, which makes things very smooth. The badger hair brushes are $40. And she talked me out of buying a $40 brush and sold me some cheap brushes. So just use them. They work fine. Throw them away. Don't worry about cleaning them. So that's just the kind of service you get, and they are all very helpful. So as soon as our induction time is over, so the induction time starts after you mix the base with the curing agent, and it's supposed to let all the air bubbles come out. After that, they told me I could color it. I have the pigment kit. I'm not coloring the first coat of base, but I probably will color the last coat of base to match closer to what the final gel coat color was going to be. I'm not certain about that yet, but we'll see. Right now, we're just waiting, and I'm cooling off. Oh, the other thing is full face respirator. Yes, you're going to need one because there's some serious VOCs coming off of this. I opened a can and immediately put the lid back on and went and found my respirator. You can get them off of Amazon. I know I bought that one on Amazon. It's easy to wear. It's comfortable. It's great because you got the full face, so you don't get anything splattered in your eyes. And when you're sanding, and it just makes it a whole lot easier to use. Now, it does get hot and you do sweat, but 100% protection. I love it. And the face seals great. It's not that uncomfortable. I'll probably have a ring around my face, but that might be an improvement with this face. So the other thing I bought is a bunch of disposable cups. Get the cheap cups. I started with the heavier duty cups, the more expensive ones, and we're reusing them, but you only get a couple uses out of them. I bought these off of Amazon. They wound up being about 50 cents a piece. I have reused them if I'm mixing another batch of something right after it, but the easiest thing is just pitch them. They're super thin, they're cheap, they're easy to use, and that's it. I can still smell the VOCs coming off, so I'm gonna wander over here and take a break for another 8 minutes, and then we'll add up to 10% of the epoxy primer thinner 200, which when I was mixing this, I mixed, I made a mark over here, I'll show you. It's a 3-to-1 mix, so I decided to mix 18 ounces of base with 6 ounces of curing agent, which gives me a total of 24 ounces. I don't know how far that's going to go. I have zero idea about coverage, especially rolling. I've heard it varies from 200 to up to 400 square feet per application with the gallon kit. But I got no idea, and I'm going to be down in those holes. I'm going to wind up using a lot more, especially with the roller. I thought about spraying. I do have the 3M AccuSpray HVLP spray kit that I bought for spraying this boat, but in the compartments it's too much of a gun to try to turn, and it's windy, and I don't feel like putting a bunch of plastic up and try to keep everything from in the neighborhood from getting painted. So we're going to roll the compartments, at least the first coat, and probably all the coats inside the compartments itself. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we're going to do 7 compartments hopefully with this mix. I don't know how far it's going to go. And then the other thing I want to put primer on today is the floor underneath the fuel tanks, so the fuel tanks can go in Monday and we start running plumbing again, and the rear compartment, battery compartment, so we can start pulling wires and getting fuel lines and everything back in there. Hopefully I can get those primered today, maybe 2 coats, and then we'll be ready to start putting pieces back on the boat. That's the plan anyway. So we're going to give this another 6 minutes, and then we'll start putting it in the boat. Well, first quart of Total Protect barrier, what is it called? Total Protect epoxy barrier primer. Went down pretty easily. After 15 minutes, then I put the epoxy primer thinner 200 in it, thinned it up really nice. It's like a thin paint, a thicker water-ish. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 compartments and half a live well. And I put it down heavy because doing it with a brush upside down, and then the radiuses and the corners and all this molded stuff is tough. So I know it went on heavier than it should be. I'm gonna grab some lunch, and I'll come back and we'll mix another batch, and I'm gonna finish off the 2 live wells, the other compartment, and see if I can get the battery compartment done, and here underneath where the tanks go. But it's getting windy, tarp's starting to flop. I know it's irritating to listen to that. I know I hate listening to it on other videos, but I'll get this done. And then next time we're out here, hopefully we're priming the rest of the boat. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.